Hey ladies! Beautiful women struggle with a dysregulated nervous system because of trauma and abuse that we faced at early stages in our life. The only way to heal your nervous system is to do these things that I'm going to talk about in this video. A lot of times, toxic people, whether it's biological, familial, platonic, or romantic, they rely on you being dysregulated. Let's just be honest. Demons in human flesh that latch onto you through the guise of a friendship, a familial connection, or even in a relationship, they thrive on you being detached from yourself, from you not knowing who you are, from you being dysregulated. So the second that we can come back to self and really just become one with ourselves emotionally, spiritually, and physically, we become a magnet for good feelings, good vibes, good energy. And we also can then learn to dismantle the negative things that people try to project onto us and into our lives. The venom that they're trying to inject no longer works. One of the first things you want to do when you are regulating your nervous system is to sit with self. So many of us, because we have been codependent due to abusive relationships, abusive family, whatever, abusive friends even, we have become so codependent on other people. Like, I know at one point in my life, this was an issue I struggled with heavily, is I couldn't feel lonely. It hurt too bad. It was a painful reminder of what I thought I was lacking in life. It made me feel like a loser. And I was so worried about how other people would perceive me not having allies, not having companions, appearing to be lonely and alone because I thought that made me look weak. Little did I know that me being able to stand alone, be by myself, listen to my own judgment, hear myself and prioritize my own self and my own mind and my own judgment above anyone else's voice was what was going to heal me. Little did I know. And that's one of the first principles of healing your nervous system as a baddie and as a beautiful woman, is to sit with yourself and be comfortable with yourself. How many of you have struggled with making decisions because you bring 50 million people into your decision making? The fact that you're bringing multiple bodies and multiple thoughts and multiple minds into your life and into your reality to give you some type of guidance that you're looking for is making you vulnerable to other people's projections, other people's insecurities, lack mindsets, and wicked intentions, if we're just being honest. So what I notice is when you can't think for yourself, when you can't make decisions for yourself, when you can't sit with yourself and say, this is what I want. I don't need this person to tell me what I want I don't need this person to advise me or tell me what I should do. This is what I want because I've sat with myself. I've done an audit of my life. I've done an audit of where I want to go. And I have a strong sense of self enough to know where I want to go. This is what I want to do. Like, if you've sat with yourself and done that work, you will not need other people's input, because other people's input is going to dysregulate you. They're going to come in with all their 2 cents and all the things that are going to shake up your reality and skew your mind and just confuse you to the point where you don't know what decisions to make anymore. You're dysregulated because you have all these other people's mindsets and projections and insecurities flooding your mind because you can't sit with yourself. That is rule number 1. Learn to sit with yourself, learn to trust your own judgment, and learn to listen to your own internal voice. Another way to regulate your nervous system, and this is specifically for my neurodivergent girlies as well, I would say, is to move slower. It is a struggle for girls who have ADHD and other neurodivergence, but I would heavily and highly suggest being intentional with moving slower. A lot of us are dysregulated. We feel overwhelmed. We feel all over the place. We feel like we can't get things done because we are moving too fast. We have to learn to breathe, take in the moment, and take our time. Even taking your time with the smallest things, like having conversations with people. How many of you can relate to feeling like, a conversation isn't going the best because you have motor mouth, or because you're not letting the other person talk? You feel like you have to jump in at every single comment they make. You don't take a second to be a good listener. You don't take a second to take in the moment and observe this person and how they're speaking and what they're speaking about. You're listening to respond. Even in just normal conversation, there are ways that we can practice moving slower, taking in the information that we're being told, and then replying after we have thought about what we're going to say. Little do we realize that this change in communication can really shift a lot of our interactions with people. Because when you're a gorgeous girl and you're out here in the world, you're networking, you're getting to know people, you're making small talk, you're having conversations, you're just being yourself in this world. When people have conversations with you, sometimes people can be looking for flaws. They can be overwhelmed by your beauty. So if you cut them off while you're speaking, or if you tend to overpower the conversation by laughing too loud, or, letting yourself just be careless with how you're showing up in that moment, it's because you are dysregulated. At some point in your life, people maybe spoke over you. At some point in your life, people were super loud when they were interacting with you, and you thought that that's how you were supposed to behave. It can be off-putting to people, and you want to just be aware that sometimes you speaking fast and being quick to respond can sometimes be a trauma response. It can sometimes be a way of you coping. So it's important, especially for my ADHD girlies, to slow down, take your time when you're answering people so that you don't feel so overwhelmed or nervous when you're talking to strangers. Because a lot of the time, your dysregulation and your nervousness in talking with people is coming from you feeling overwhelmed with emotion and not taking enough time to regulate yourself and your emotions and breathe in that moment before speaking, which would lessen anxiety and would lessen fear of speaking to people in public spaces. I would say also a more tangible way to heal your nervous system would be to get on top of your finances, okay? You being financially secure as a beautiful woman is probably your biggest superpower and your biggest weapon in this world. If you are a beautiful woman, if you are gorgeous, if you're stunning, if you have a lot going for yourself, you having financial stability and financial security is going to take you very, very far. When you don't have to worry about money, if you don't have to worry about, where your next meal is coming from, if you have money put aside, most importantly, okay, that's really what I want to get to. If you don't have money put aside, you are going to be dysregulated. You are going to be nervous all the time. Your nervous system is going to be inflamed. Your cortisol levels are through the roof because you are worried about falling on your face. You're worried about not being able to stand up again and have the resources to be able to take care of yourself. As beautiful women in this world, we need our money. We need our coin, okay? We need our coin. We need the finances to be stable so we can keep up with our beauty regimens, so that we can know that if worse comes to worse, we have everything we need. We're not going to be without. That in itself gives you so much calm and so much peace. You would be surprised how much money troubles and financial fears play into you being ugly. Let's be honest. Like, if you are just always worried about finances and you're stressing and you have no savings whatsoever, you're going to be looking for peace and comfort in unhealthy places, like dealing with toxic men, like eating too much, like not sleeping. All of these things affect your beauty, ladies. Please do not get it twisted. The second you start stressing about finances and you're not being responsible financially, you are contributing to losing your pretty privilege. You're stressing, your cortisol levels are through the roof, and that plays into your beauty. So I think as women, it's so important that we take care of our finances so that we can rest easy at night, so that we can breathe and know that, if something were to happen, if there was an emergency, and, just for the sake of our own dreams and goals, we know that there is money being saved, there's money being put aside, and we have the stability to be able to live the life that we desire. I know, the reality is not everyone is always in a season of financial stability, which is 1000% fine. What is not okay is you staying there, is you feeling defeated and not getting up and wallowing in pity, destroying and wrecking your nervous system because you refuse to get up from that place of victimhood and choosing to stay stuck, okay? That is where your beauty goes to die. Your nervous system needs you to be financially stable. It needs you to make smart decisions with money so that it can know that you are going to be okay no matter what. That in and of itself is going to lower your cortisol levels. Your face is going to get slimmer. You're going to lose that cortisol gut, that stress belly that we get in the lower stomach. Okay, it's all intertwined. It's so crazy. Once you start to really, research these things, you learn a lot about how just everyday choices and life choices play into your beauty and play into your mental health and your hormone balance. Everything is just intertwined. It's crazy. Another way that you need to balance and regulate your nervous system is by no longer seeking validation from people, okay? This kind of plays into what I was speaking about in the beginning of this video, where you should not be looking for other people to tell you what to do. When you have self-trust, you build regulation within yourself. You're not internally panicking. You don't need constant reassurance from other people. You just know that you're okay. You validate yourself. You tell yourself it's going to be okay. You get all your strength from within. This is what's going to give you a regulated nervous system, as opposed to needing other people to tell you if you're okay. Even just saying that out loud sounds so crazy. If you have an external locus of control, if someone outside of you has to regulate you, you're immediately starting in the negative. That person basically has your well-being in the palm of their hand, and one thing that they can say to you can completely just send you into a spiral. No one should be able to have that power over you, which is why you should always be validating yourself. And then finally, ladies, something I've been doing since I've been healing myself since, maybe 6 years ago, is processing my emotions instead of leaking them. And what do I mean? I mean, I am not wearing my emotions on my sleeve for people's entertainment anymore. I think when I was an open book and when I was going through things that were really heavy and really ugly, I bore my soul to people who should not have seen me in that way. And that completely destroyed my nervous system because people were in my business. People were sending me evil eye. People were hating on me. People were upset that I was going through something hard but not looking like what I was going through. You would be surprised how much people having a glimpse into your life and sending you negativity can affect your nervous system. I learned to process my feelings internally. I journaled, I prayed more, my relationship with God got a lot deeper, and I began to learn all of my emotional patterns. I learned about my hormones. I learned about my cycle. I got very, very, very serious about learning about me, and once I did that, I realized that I don't need to share my emotional state with every single person all the time, even if they say they love me, because I need to be the one to take care of my own emotions. So I would say the main theme of this video is that you need to learn how to sit with yourself, love yourself, be your own best friend, be your own biggest supporter. That is where a regulated nervous system begins. That is the origin, the genesis of a regulated nervous system. Is your ability to lean on yourself, rely on yourself, trust yourself, hear yourself, and honor yourself, okay? It's all about self-work. So ladies, if this is something that you guys want me to expand on more, I'm happy to do another video on this. I love talking about this stuff. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share all of your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.